And it's just a minute past 11 East Coast time, 10 a.m. Central. So why don't we get started? So Julie, I'm going to have you introduce yourself in just a minute. But before we get going, I want to let you know that throughout the webinar, you can ask questions. Here in Zoom, you should see a black toolbar on your screen there. And I'm just going to turn off notifications. And you see a black toolbar on your screen, and there's a little Q&A button. So feel free to open that up and send in a question at any point. We'll try to answer as many questions live as we can, and we'll have a special section at the end to do a little bit of Q&A. So throughout the session, let's make it interactive. Let's ask your questions, ask us anything, and we'll be happy to answer as much as we can. So without further ado, Julie, I'd love you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your role, priorities at Kansas State, and how did you end up in advancement and in research?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Julie Craig. I lead our prospect analytics and our research department here at K-State. I've been in the field a long time. Since 2006, actually, is when I moved into the prospect management and prospect research fields. I started as a coordinator supporting our fundraisers right out of school, pretty much right after I graduated from K-State, and did that for a couple years, but found I really was interested in helping the fundraisers look good. And one of the best ways to do that was to work with them in prospect management, get the statistics looking good, showing their value, all the contacts they've made, the proposals, forecasting off those. And really was able to just grow with the foundation here. We've come a long way, a lot more sophisticated than when I started. And now my role continues to morph as our profession grows. It's been a really fun journey. I've spent a lot of time the last couple years working not only with major gifts, but now a lot more too with our annual giving partners, as well as communications and stewardship teams too. So it's been a really fun journey to come into this more collaborative world and see how our work supports everybody across the organization.
Awesome. I love how you put it, and trying to make fundraisers look good, because that's essentially my role here at EverTrue and my experience in advancement. So I have a background in television and sales and marketing, but prior to joining EverTrue, I spent 6.5 years working for Phillips Exeter Academy, which is a prep school here in New England with 1,100 students, and I worked in advancement communication. So it was my job to make the school look good, to make our fundraising appeals look good and more effective, and to kind of measure success. And along that journey, I got to work with EverTrue, and then eventually they asked me to join the team. And so my role here is to make customers look good, to tell customer stories, to share the good work that folks are doing with the rest of the industry so that we can all learn from each other. Because one of the things I love about fundraising and advancement is that we are always talking to each other. We're always trying to see what works, and we help each other make that happen. So really excited to be doing a little bit of that today for APRA Kansas, Missouri. But before we get going, if you've never heard about EverTrue, I'm going to give you the 30-second spiel. And our mission really is to work alongside customers to build relationships in pursuit of a better world, to allow more kids more access to education and opportunities at colleges and universities across the country. We work with more than 300 partners in higher ed, half of the top U.S. News and World Report universities. You can see just a handful of our partners there, and we are just really privileged to be working in this space alongside you. We believe that advancement teams can do their best work when they don't have to wade through database screens or endless CSVs. Your database is awesome and is really good at storing information, and it's not great. It does not deliver a great user experience. And so what we try to do is to unlock these databases and give you new information that isn't just static or updated only when someone responds to you, but that actually brings in a constituents, the ways that they're engaging with you digitally via social media, who they are today, not who they were when they graduated 5, 10, 15, 25 years ago. And so we give you fresh info on your donors. We're pulling in info from your data, where software sits on top of your database, pulls in info, but also taps into social and digital sources, because that's where the world is today. Bringing in all of that information into one place that you can use on your phone. You have a living, breathing donor profile that's available phone, desktop, tablet, you name it, anywhere you go. You can do your prospecting, your gift officers can do their work all in one easy to use collaborative platform. We give you access for the entire team. So that was really quick. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up, ask me later. But really excited to go through our agenda today. So we're going to talk a little bit about how technology has changed the world that we live in. We're going to talk why social digital matters and how tapping into that can make a difference for your fundraising teams. We'll walk through how K-State is activating the giving funnel and share some of the success that they've seen using the giving funnel type approach to fundraising. And then we'll talk through strategies for social media driven prospect discovery, things that you can do today, right when we're done, or even like while we're doing the webinar to help surface prospect for your priorities. Sound good? Here we go. Awesome. So this is a letter to Terry, and I'm not sure if Terry, if you're on here, you can feel free to like use the little black toolbar and wave your hand. But I saw Terry come in through the registration. She's with a group of folks from Washington University of St. Louis. And this is a letter addressed to her. And so, Terry, you can't respond visually or audibly, so I'm going to ask Julie, but I'm going to read this letter, and then Julie, I'm going to ask you like what you would do if you got a letter like this at K-State. And so the letter says, "Dear Terry, I graduated in 2005, and while I was there, I loved going to Holmes Lounge for lunch. The staff learned by order, and we always had a nice conversation while they made it, even if it was many days in between visits. This is one of my WashU highlights for sure. With gratitude, Dr. David Magnus, Premise Health." So Julie, if you got a letter like this, you know, sent to your office, what would you do?